So let's get right into it. Something absolutely massive is happening in one of the most remote places on Earth. Quietly, but with incredible speed, China is transforming the Himalayas. We're going to break down what they're building, why they're doing it, and tackle the big question. Is this incredible feat of engineering meant to prevent a war or to start one?
Yeah, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? We're not talking about a few new roads here. We're talking about a fundamental reshaping of the landscape. Places that were once completely impassable are now becoming strategic corridors. This isn't just development, it's a re-engineering of the roof of the world.
And the scope, wow, it's just breathtaking. We're seeing this whole network of all-weather highways, military-grade air bases at altitudes that are hard to even imagine, some of the biggest dams ever designed, and railways that literally cut through mountains. This is a total strategic overhaul of an entire region.
All right, so first up, let's focus on exactly what is being built, because the sheer scale of these projects is almost impossible to wrap your head around, and they're going up at a pace that the rest of the world is really struggling to keep up with.
Just look at this number, over 300. That's how many new infrastructure projects China has launched across Tibet since just 2020. 300! That pace of construction is astonishing anywhere, let alone in one of the most challenging environments on the planet.
So the key to understanding all of this is a concept called dual-use infrastructure, and this is really the crucial point. On the surface, these look like civilian projects, for trade, for tourism, for the economy, but every single one is built to serve a very clear military purpose.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. That highway that looks like it's for trade, it's also wide enough and strong enough to move tank columns. That airport built for tourists, it has runways and shelters designed for fighter jets. And that dam for generating electricity, it gives you the power to control the water lifeline for entire nations downstream.
And when you look at the specifics, it's just mind-blowing. The G2190 highway cuts the time it takes to move troops from a matter of weeks down to just a few days. Airports like Shigatse-Haiping have been totally converted into full-on military hubs. And get this, the new railway is going to move soldiers and gear across 1,600 kilometers of insane terrain in under half a day. Which brings us to the really big question, right? You don't pour this level of money and effort into something without a very powerful reason. So let's get into the why. Now, the first reason is probably not what you'd expect. It's not just about tanks and troops. It's actually about powering the future. And more specifically, it's about the global race for technological dominance. The AI revolution is here. But to train all those AI models, you need huge data centers. And those data centers are incredibly thirsty for electricity. We're talking about a single facility using enough power for a small city. So if you want to win the AI race, you need an almost bottomless supply of energy. And here's the kicker. According to Goldman Sachs, the demand for power just from data centers is projected to skyrocket by 165% by 2030. That is an absolutely massive spike in energy demand, and countries are scrambling to figure out how to meet it.
This chart really puts it all into perspective. Look at the US line. It's been pretty flat for 2 decades. Now look at China's. They've quadrupled their electricity output. They're aggressively building out their power grid for this AI future, and they need brand new sources to keep that momentum going. And Tibet is the answer to that problem. Those high-altitude rivers in the Himalayas, they're an absolute powerhouse. They hold almost a third of China's entire potential for hydropower. That makes the region not just a border zone, but a critical future energy hub for the whole country. But here's the thing, building all this energy capacity in this specific location gives it a really sharp strategic edge. It's a concept called hydrohegemony. Basically, by building these megadams, China gets control over the headwaters of rivers that are the literal lifelines for India and Bangladesh. It's the ability to weaponize water, giving them huge geopolitical leverage just by controlling the tap. Okay, so powering the AI economy, that's one big piece of the puzzle. But the primary driver for this Himalayan fortress is geopolitical. And here's the twist. It's not actually about starting a war with India. It's about preventing one. You see, for Beijing, their number one strategic focus is and has been Taiwan, and by extension, the United States. The Himalayan front is important, for sure, but it's a secondary theater. Everything they do has to be seen through that main lens.
And that brings us to the key military concept here, deterrence. The whole point of this massive buildup isn't to launch an attack. It's to make the cost of somebody attacking you so unbelievably high that they don't even think about it.
So let's just walk through the logic from Beijing's point of view. Step 1, a conflict over Taiwan would force China to move the vast majority of its military resources to the east. Step 2, that would leave their western flank, the Indian border, pretty exposed. That creates a perfect window of opportunity for India to make a move. So step 3, this entire Himalayan network is their insurance policy. It's a way to fortify the West so heavily that India can't take advantage, even if China's main forces are busy somewhere else.
And this quote just sums up the whole strategy. It's really about psychological warfare. All the roads, the air bases, the ability to move troops quickly, it all sends one single clear message to New Delhi. Don't even think about it.
But this leads to a really dangerous paradox. Because in geopolitics, one country's defensive insurance policy can look a lot like another country's offensive threat. And this is the absolute heart of the problem. It's not just about your intent. It's about the other side's perception. And right now, the perception gap between Beijing and New Delhi is turning into a chasm. This chart just illustrates the two completely different realities. Where Beijing sees a defensive measure to stop a second front from opening up, New Delhi sees offensive posturing and a slow, creeping encroachment on its territory. What one side calls stabilization, the other calls provocation. They are looking at the exact same construction projects and seeing two completely different things. And it's so important to remember that India is watching all of this from a position of relative military weakness. China already has a big advantage in air power, a much larger defense budget, and more troops. So when India sees this massive buildup, it sees an already powerful rival getting even stronger, and that just makes the mistrust run that much deeper.
And that leaves us with this final, chilling thought. The paradox is that the very actions China is taking to secure its border and prevent a conflict, well, they might be creating the exact conditions of fear and mistrust that could spark one. In trying to deter a future war, China may be accidentally daring India to start one. It's an incredibly high-stakes gamble on the roof of the world.